Why choose becoming a CRNA versus a physician anesthesiologist? This is a very hard question to answer because most people don't realize that we have the same exact scope of practice. The differences between what your job is going to look like in the day-to-day is going to depend on two things. One, the facility you work at. And two, if you've done any additional fellowship trainings to subspecialize in different areas. So what exactly is a CRNA? Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist, also now known as Certified Registered Nurse Anesthesiologist. We have been giving anesthesia for as long as anesthesia has existed in the United States. It is not a new profession, it is a very old profession. CRNAs are the primary providers of anesthesia in rural areas. About 90% of people who are giving you anesthesia, if you live in a rural area, are CRNAs like myself. We make up a huge portion of providers of anesthesia in the US military. So if you are at a US military base around the world, it is very likely that you will get anesthesia from a CRNA like myself as well. If you're in an ambulatory center or a small clinic with 1 to 2 operating rooms, you might have a CRNA or an anesthesiologist giving you anesthesia there. If you are in bigger hospitals, however, like an academic medical center, it's much more likely that you will receive care from an anesthesia care team. In these facilities, the way that the anesthesia care team works is one physician anesthesiologist will be covering multiple operating rooms, and each OR will have a CRNA in each room. So the person physically providing the anesthesia from start of case to end of case is going to be a CRNA. And depending on the specific physician colleague you're working with, the facility you're working at, and the billing model you're working in, they may have more or less involvement than others. You might have one physician working up to 8 operating rooms in some facilities and settings, and in other settings, they might be covering 2, so they're gonna be a lot more involved in the patient's care in those settings. I work in an academic medical center. I work extremely closely with my physician colleagues, and they typically only have one other room to cover. Usually they have a resident physician who's in training in their other room. It also depends on the specialty you're in and the relationship you have. So when I'm in cardiac, for example, we're like this all day long. But in other specialties, it will look very different. I'll make a second part to this video to talk about the differences in training and what your jobs can look like if you go on to do additional fellowship trainings. That's going to make the job look a little bit different as well.